My dear friends, I like to start my Easter message by referring to the Gospel of John, chapter 20, verses 1 to 9. John begins his account of the resurrection with the words, "It was early on the first day of the week and still dark when Mary of Magdala came to the tomb." As you notice, dear friends, John says it was still dark. There was darkness because the day had not yet dawned. But that external darkness reflected the internal darkness in Mary Magdalene's heart. The darkness of grief because Jesus was for her no more. It is always dark when Jesus seems absent from us. The word darkness, my dear friends, seems to sum up our present situation. We are faced with the threats of a new wave of COVID, even more devastating than the first wave. We could not have our usual Holy Week services. Our Easter joy is muted. COVID seems to be like a dark cloud hovering over us. That is only one aspect of the darkness. We have other aspects too. The country is going through a difficult phase when our cherished liberties are being eroded and the government seems bent on muzzling opposition. Religious intolerance seems to be increasing, as the recent event in Jhansi shows us, and that is only one instance of growing intolerance. Closer home, we have our farmers struggling for their rights. Months have gone by and the grievances have not been redressed. Surely, my dear friends, there is darkness around us, much reason for despair. But as Christians, we can never give in to despair. Because of the resurrection, for us, the last word in human history can never be death and defeat, but the triumph of God's love and life. We recall God's promise in Ezekiel chapter 37, verses 1 to 4. God will open the graves and clothe the dead bones with flesh, breathing new life in them. That promise, we know, is fulfilled in the resurrection of Jesus. His resurrection is the assurance that the present dead bones of humanity will come back to life. The tomb of Jesus seems to be shut and sealed, but the third day is always at hand when Jesus rises triumphant over death and despair. My dear friends, the disciples of Jesus were far from expecting the resurrection. Mary Magdalene came to the tomb to anoint the dead body of Jesus. It took a long time to convince the apostles that Jesus had risen. The two disciples on the road to Emmaus opened their hearts to the stranger. "We had hoped," they said, Luke 24:21. That hope was something of the past. We had hoped, not of the present. That hope had already been extinguished, and at that moment, when hope seems to have been dead, Jesus appears to the apostles and the disciples to rekindle their hopes once again. My dear friends, Easter reminds us that the risen Lord is with us to kindle our hopes anew. I like to end with the words of a prayer I once came across. O God, ever give me the grace to see the silver lining to my dark cloud, to feel the healing touch in the sickness that besets me, to have the faith that blossoms through the thorns that choke, to believe in life even in the midst of death. It is this hope, dear friends, we hold out to the world as we celebrate Easter 2021. A happy Easter to each one of you, filled with the peace and joy of the risen Lord.